Hello, nice to see you. Good afternoon, good evening. How you all doing? How are you doing,
Yeah, good
Aziz?
afternoon, Ahmed. I'm doing fine. Thank you. Hope you're doing good too.
I'm doing so well, amazing. Work has been fine so far. How you doing, Kamara?
I'm doing good. I'm doing okay.
How is the
Just
weather over here? It's a bit cold here.
yeah, it's a bit cold here as well. But we're coping. I
Okay.
hope you're all okay.
Yeah, we are fine. Aziz, is it cold over your side also?
A little bit, but not so not a lot. Yeah.
Okay, okay, that's fine. That's nice to know. So let me just start. My name is Bashir Ahmed, the project lead for the Opt Design Challenge, PTC Ownership is our main partner, and we are here to talk about utilizing insight on sustainability. So how can our participants understand the insight on sustainability, the role of energy, and also understanding more on climate change, more on the environment side also. That's something important that I would like to. Before we start, I would like you to introduce yourself, what you do, maybe share something fun about you also. Yes. So Aziz, I think you should go first.
All right. Thank you, Ahmed. My name is Aziz, and currently I'm a Global Citizen Fellow, and I'm also the Director of Programs at the Global Shapers Community in Ilorin, Kwara State. I work with quite a number of non-governmental organizations around developmental issues, focusing on the sustainable development goals. Thank you.
Thank you
Right.
very much. Thank you very much, Aziz. Something I picked from your end is you being a global ambassador. I think it's not easy, and I can recall that you've been doing this since your university days, which is so interesting to see and how far you've been going. So I think it's more of youths going into this aspect also that I would like to see. Thank you very much for that. So David, and introduce
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah. My name is Fodi David Kamara. I'm a student from the African Leadership University here in Rwanda, Kigali. So currently, I'm doing global challenges with specialization in wildlife conservation and climate change. So far, I've been part of the student safari. I co-founded the student safari with my colleagues from Kenya and other part of Africa. Then as well, I'm as well the current president of the Sierra Leone Student for Climate Change, which is a student-led organization which primarily deals with climate change issues surrounding students in Sierra Leone. So yeah, so that's it in a brief about me.
Yeah, thank you very much, David. I also like the fact that you're also a president, of the climate change community. I love it. I have a climate change page, which I'm
Wow.
also trying to follow up on. I think we can continue to have that conversation after this. I actually like the fact of what you're doing. You bringing the youth together. I think that's something that's like my end goal at the end of the day. Having that community of youth that you can bring together to drive that change. So I don't know. There's an echo. I don't know if it's from my end. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that's something that stands out for me that I would love to see you push out for. Thank you very much, everyone. Also, I'm a program associate for Co-Creation Hub, the largest innovation hub in Africa. I work as a
Wow.
program associate, like I support startups. So let's go into it. As we are all familiar, we're here to talk about sustaining the environment, basically. So how can the participants for this PTC Ownership Design Challenge understand how to manage or how to make sure that they understand the aspect of sustaining energy, you know. So that's something that we like to talk about here. It's just a little conversation. We're just having conversation around it, trying to make sure that they understand and you showing your meaning into things also. So I'll just start with a little bit of question. So let's just start from the aspects. What is sustainability? Basically, what does sustainability mean in a few words? I started from Abubakar. Let's start from David now. David.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. So basically sustainability over the years, it's kind of like for me, it's kind of like a buzzword, in terms of conserving our environment. Sustainability has been that word. So like if you are looking forward to a particular solution, they always tell you, it needs to be sustainable. That in a nutshell simply means whatsoever you're doing right now, you should make sure you're not only doing it for us, but your solution should be sustained for generations yet unborn. So sustainability in a nutshell has to do with your solution. It's not only centered with the present generation, but the generation yet unborn. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that. I think for me, it's more around the way we can actually manage and also try to treat everything as human for me. So I think because something is in excess, we try to waste it, we try to mismanage it. So how can we actually make sure that this thing lasts for long and we are utilizing it, which we are not managing anything we do, anything water, anything you are managing to, using it to affect the other resources actually. So thank you very much, Aziz. Briefly, what does sustainability mean in your term as a global ambassador?
Okay, all right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for your insights on sustainability, Kamara. Um, I'm also someone who thinks that sustainability is when you look beyond just your short term priorities, when you look beyond just your short term goals, and you start to think about long term. So, what is the long term impact of whatever you're doing right now? Would it be something that would be sustainable? Would it be something that you would be able to continue to leverage on moving forward when you think about the future? So sustainability, in a way, um, on in the way I understand it, has evolved over the years, and the definition of sustainability in a way, in the past may not be the definition of sustainability now. Because when you look at it, sometimes let's come in from this angle. Um, something that is sustainable right now may not be sustainable tomorrow. So we need to think more critically about what we tend to define to be sustainable. Um, I may start to go into the direction of when you talk about fuels, for instance, fossil fuels, for instance. At some point, the people that invented cars, they knew that it's going to be powered with fossil fuels, and that would be the source of energy, right? So in their own way, they thought that that would be a sustainable option. We would continue to use fossil fuels, and at the end of the day, it turns out that fossil fuels is not good for our planet and it causes climate change, right? Now we need to start thinking about more sustainable options. What can we leverage right now? And we know that it is permanent, is available for the next billions of years. Like, for instance, solar energy. And we could also think about wind energy. So yeah, let me just put it stop there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Over
yeah.
to you.
Thank you very much for that. I think something that stood out for me is the fact that you said we need to be careful of what we term sustainable, because it can be sustainable now doesn't mean next few years it will still be sustainable. That's stood out for me actually, and I feel like that will change. I might be going. I feel like every decade things that are sustainable now will change. That's also leading me to the fact that the way we use energy is actually changing compared to the fact that last 10 years or last 20 years they were focusing on fossil fuel. And fossil fuel is the thing; it's going to sustain us, in terms of energy conservation and all that. But right now, we are going to we stopping fossil fuel, stopping coal, and all those things. And that means that every time we're going to have that change for us. So now we're relating into this PTC ownership design challenge that we have. So we were trying to focus on sustainable solutions. So I would you say now that they should not focus on something like cars, something like fossil fuel machines, something that uses fossil fuel? What type of energy process should they now focus on right now, you see that it's the most sustainable way right now. I don't know that you understand my question. Yeah, so anyone can actually go.
Yeah.
Amira, would
So
you like to go for that?
let me handle it. So the thing we should look at right now, because over the years, the issue of climate change has been notorious. Climate change and other environmental disasters, these things have been notorious. From where I came from in Sierra Leone, in 2017, we experienced one of the worst natural disasters ever had in the history of the country. You know, that day on the 14th of August, 2017, we experienced a mudslide together with flooding all in the same day. And as a result of that, it claims the life of over 1,000 people. People died, over a month, which was a period of mourning. We were mourning the deaths of those people that died. So looking at sustainability right now, we need things we need to look at it in the aspect of renewability. Let's look out for things we can use that has little or no impact on our current environment. The issue of renewable energy, which is pretty much a huge field and an exploit field, because like I feel like in terms of renewability as an energy, we haven't as a the whole world we haven't looked into that pretty much well, because there are so many things around us in our environment that are capable of producing the energy we need. Just I don't know if you guys know Jeremiah Tonkash. He won the Global Student Prize last year. His invention was using kinetic energy into electricity. So imagine how sustainable that is. He's converting people's kinetic energy. So if you're walking, if you are doing any physical activity, for the fact that you're moving, he's using that movement as an energy, converting it to electricity. So that's it's a clean energy directly contributing to the Sustainable Development SDG 7, when he are providing clean energy to households in Sierra Leone. So currently, as a result of his invention, is currently serving up to over 150 houses and as well as schools with his energy solution. So in that way, like this particular sector of energy is so clean that if you can tell me, like, it literally has no side effect on the environment. The only thing is just we need to he only needs to work on the system and see how best it can serve a large proportion of the population. But for now, if we can look at the issue of the incident of sustainability, we need to look primarily into renewable resources, renewable energy, because those it's still a field we haven't explored to the fullest yet. Kinetic energy, we have even the waves. The waves are capable of producing a large amount of energy for us. Now, take a look at hydropower. You know, for Sierra Leone currently, as where I came from, my country, we're using hydropower, and we can see it's serving up to 7 million people in the entire country. Hydropower. Then again, we can as well use the sea. The sea is it's in as much as it's producing fish and other resources for us, but I feel like there is more we can do with the ocean. It produces as well the tide. We can use the waves, the tide to produce a lot of energy. So looking at sustainability for me, I feel like we need to focus on things that are renewable, things that are not contributing or disturbing the environment in an harmful way. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. So let me just throw this into Aziz. Aziz, why should we focus on sustainability? Because you said that it's changed with time. So what's sustainable today doesn't need to be sustainable tomorrow. So should we just forget everything sustainability and just use everything till the world ends? So why?
So really, just buttressing on what Kamara said, it is key that we seek out sustainable solutions in whatever we're doing. It may not be even in the energy sector, it could be in other sectors. We need to seek out sustainable solutions. And we've already seen, or we're already experiencing the impact that when we opt in for unsustainable options, these are the impacts that we could experience. Like, he shared there was flooding in his community in Sierra Leone, and onto most African countries, especially in sub-Saharan Africa. And Nigeria is not exempted. During the rainy seasons, we have more frequent rains than ever now. And this is as a result of carbon emissions from big polluters like the US, and not also debunking the fact, or not also dismissing the fact that African countries, although being least contributing, we still actually contribute to the global emission. And if you look at it overall, although we are the least contributors, but certain activities that we're currently doing is resulting in environmental pollution, like take for instance gas flaring. So all of these options can be so dangerous for community members, especially rural communities. They're usually the most affected by this because they're already struggling to even put food on their table. And imagine them having to go through not having to get so much yield from the crops they produce because of droughts, or because of their soil was eroded or flooded. So all of these are, challenges that has to do with opting in for unsustainable options. And we need to now think more creatively around how we need to leverage on technology in a more positive way. Because when you look at it, technology got us here. It got us here to this point where we have to face. But now let's now start thinking more in the direction of whatever we're opting in for. Look at the solution that Camara shared, leveraging on kinetic energy, ensuring that whatever solution we're trying to create is sustainable and it is clean and has little or no impact on the environment, on our natural environment. So I also heard about this, I saw this solution that has to do with there is this man that he drives a bicycle transporting certain goods from one location to another. And can you believe the innovation he came up with? He did not have to like be the best educator, or like sorry, I mean, he didn't have to like go to the best of educations, but he still came up with a very sustainable solution. So he thought creatively, how could I leverage on this bicycle I'm riding every day? What can I use this for? And then I think his wife or most of his community members complained about washing clothes with their hands, and it's time consuming. So and what he just created was so unique that he was able to use the kinetic energy from riding the bicycle to actually wash the clothes while he journeys from one point to another. So he's able to achieve even moving from one point to another, and at the same time wash the clothes of people. So basically the process is that while he cycles, it turns the clothes in a like a bucket. There's a bucket at the back of the bicycle. So when it cycles, it turns the clothes, and it's ultimately it's washing the clothes. And we need to start thinking about more creative options, and we may not necessarily need to do something big, or as big as using solar panel or using wind. Look at the solution that Camara also shared. It's just that it could be as simple as just leveraging on kinetic energy, motion, and you could really create something sustainable. So I don't want us to always think that anytime we say sustainable energy, it's always like solar or it's always like wind. We should also think about more creative ways to opt in for all these sustainable options. We should, apart from the renewables that we know about, like solar and wind and geothermal and all of that, we need to also think about other creative ways we can opting for sustainable solutions. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. I think that's what's it, and that will be leading me to my next question or in this space is that what business value have you seen from your sustainable efforts? So this might be a business value that you have, so it's better you should not share your own idea. So because I want to realize that okay, so we are not just we are now shifting it as you said, not just the energy part. So what business value have you seen that people can actually tap in this whole sustainable effort that you've actually been through? So for me, I'll just share mine. For me, was actually like opening a just an Instagram account and talking about climate change. I don't have to do anything on energy. I just knew that okay, if I could reach a total number of 10,000 people, I can actually get to have done my effort, and at the end of the day, I'm getting a business value because Instagram gets to pay me. So that is me having a business around it. But this is different now. We have to relate this to um, more on this PTC ownership because they are going to be modeling, they are going to be designing things. So what business value have you seen people can actually tap with? Not just the old design, the old energy. What can they actually still do and add to their product? Yeah, so anyone can actually go. But I want Aziz to actually go first.
All right. So actually, in the past, there has been some myths around opting in for sustainable solutions. It can be sometimes we hear myth of, oh, it is difficult, it is variable, it's not easy to implement. So we need to really share facts and not myths about sustainability. So the word sustainability in its sense, you're thinking about longer term. So in a business sense, in a business case, it makes a lot of sense because you're not just short term, what can I quickly get quickly or how much profit can I quickly make now. But you're thinking in a longer term, means you're able to make profit over a long period of time, then you would end up succeeding in whatever targets you set for yourself. You can break even, and it makes a lot of business sense. So opting in for sustainable options, be it in energy space, even when you talk about it in the transport or any other sector, agriculture, ultimately when you look at it, it makes a lot of sense business wise because at the end of the day, when you look at solar, for instance, there's always sun. So, and you can't turn off like that there will always be sun during the day, obviously. But you can't just turn off the sun and or you get what I'm saying. So wind too happens, and then it makes a lot of business sense when you talk about sustainability, when you talk about longer term solutions, really. Over to you, Camera.
Come on. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah. For me, I was interning with School of Wildlife Conservation here, and I was part of their workshop, circular economy workshop, which was last year. It was a 2 month program where we were taught about circular economy. Circular economy basically, is that aspect of our economy when we get to use something, we repair it, then we reuse it again. I feel like that's a major goal too. As for me, as an idea, I'm thinking around that right now. We can think around that when we can make our product. We are not only using the products, but we can repair them and use them again. My colleague and I were discussing about an idea when we get to um, plastic. We get to reuse plastic. We're using plastic bag, empty plastic bags as to make concrete and bricks. You get. So recycling the plastic to make bricks, that helps reduce the littering of plastic in our environment. So looking at for me, the idea I'm thinking about, like looking at the aspect of circular economy in our environment is primary. When you're not only using a product, but after you're using it, you get to recycle it again, then you reuse it again. So if we can take a seat back, then we try to explore this aspect of circular economy, then absolutely it will be a win-win situation for our environment, because currently the artist is getting overwhelmed with debt and other things. So if we can find ways and start using things over and over again with them retaining the same value of initial production, then yeah, I think that'll be so great. And I'm pretty much one thing that's really caught in my eye is the fact that we are having this technology like the Health Challenge, which get to train young people, in taking ownership of sustainability, because we are the owners of sustainability. This technology, are being employed to teach us what are the things we need to do. So, like, as much as we are thinking about the solution, but we need to have the tool in our disposal. And I'm pretty much glad, we having the Oath Challenge, which is there to provide the skill training and knowledge base for young people in terms of taking ownership of sustainability. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Two things you said. The first is last week Saturday, my company actually organized an hackathon for circular economy in a university. So when you said that, I could actually relate to you when you talked about using reuse, and then it was where this time around it was lecturers, students that are actually interested and were trying to tell about this whole circular economy and the whole business part of it. The other one is I actually did my project in plastic recycling. So I did the whole cutting of PET plastic. PET plastic is not a type of plastic that you can actually reuse because I think the eating or I think it's thermoset or thermo. I've actually forgotten. There's a thermoset and there are two types. But the PET plastic, the old Coca-Cola plastic, you can actually not recycle it. So we created a machine to cut the plastic and actually go and compress it, melt it, and turn it, mold it into another thing, into flower vase, into bottles and stuff like that, into design, what you can design. And that's something I actually think that okay, that's actually a business value which you've created a model, it, you create a business on distribution. So you get people to bring in the plastic where they get to pay for. So that's basically like well when you said that I could actually just
Yeah,
relate to it.
to add on as well, I have this friend, a colleague from Liberia. Currently,
Okay.
what he is doing is using this plastic, um, this disposed
Yes.
plastic, is using them to construct houses. Imagine. He's
Wow.
using these plastic bottles to construct houses, and he's doing so well. He's doing so well. Over the past 2 years, as I'm telling you, Bashir, he has recycled over series of tons of plastic bags in his community, and he's doing so well. You know, if we can take this ownership of our environment, and employ the technology at our disposals, then we will definitely have hit the mark, the Agenda 2063 for Africa, the Africa we want, definitely.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Yeah. I also saw this solution that was also focused on how can we not just turn plastic waste, but other kind of waste like food waste into value. So it's a more agriculture related solution. And there's this frame I know about. What they are doing is to actually leverage on domestic waste from homes, so from your sewage and your feces and all of that. So they are really turning it into biogas. So they are turning it into biogas, they are turning it into fertilizers. So and it's creating a lot of value. So it makes a lot of business sense when we talk about sustainability and how we can really turn the things that we thought did not have value, like waste generally now, how can we really turn them into something of value? So yeah, it really does make a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
thank you very much for that. So let me just bring it down since we talked about the business. So when it comes to living, a normal day life, you sleep, you wake up, exercise, meditation. Some people go to the gym. Some people take their breakfast. Some people drink water. So what can you tag sustainable living? Sustainable living. So when you hear someone say sustainable living, what do you think
Yeah,
about it?
I think I pretty much like this question, which it's an habit I'm learning right now, because I won't say I'm like 100% sustainable in my current living, but like everybody can serve as a model in terms of sustainability. We all have a role to play in sustainability. If you wake up in the morning, switch off your device, switch off your lights, switch off whatsoever thing you're using. For
Hi,
instance,
everyone.
Hi,
hello,
hello, hi
Hi.
Adishola.
glad to
Thanks for
have you here,
joining.
Adesola.
Thanks for joining. So David is trying to round up something. So after that, we're just going to get to it straight.
So yeah,
Just like that. I'm here to learn too. All right.
Yeah.
so
Sorry
yeah,
for coming in late.
as I was saying, like we all have a role to play in sustainability. Our daily lifestyle can contribute a lot to our environment around us. Like I was saying, when you wake up in the morning, learn to switch off your lights. We need to stop wasting food, which is another critical thing. We need to stop wasting food. Look for some look Go for something you can finish. Eat something. Okay, I can finish this food, let me just eat this. you know if we are not using a device, our microwaves, our kitchen gases, we should just kindly switch them off. These things are all contributing to um, emission in the atmosphere, and in order for us to sustain um, in order to sustain our environment, definitely we need to take this mantle of ownership of the environment we have within in our midst, because we have only one Earth, we have only one planet to live on, which is planet Earth. And if we don't take this ownership of um, managing the available resources we have right now, there is no way we can go to Mars and live there, because scientifically there's been no proving of life on Mars or other planets. We only have Earth. And by 2050, it has been estimated that the population on Earth will be around 9.5 billion people. So imagine if we don't manage what we have now, by 2050, by the time we get to that, like things will be so rigid. And imagine by 2070, literally people will be extinct. Everybody, the earth will just go extinct. So if we can take ownership of what we have right now, you know, then definitely we can sustain our art. Yeah, we all have a role to play. We all have a role to play. Thank you very much, Bashir.
Yeah. Thank you very much, David. Aziz, sustainable living. Give us some tips that you do.
Okay, so when it comes to sustainable living, just like Kamara said, we must all understand that every living being, human being, animals, whatever it is, plants, every living being has a role to play in the overall ecosystem. So, if in a way one of these components of this ecosystem is not really playing its role in the right way, then there is going to be a challenge in the ecosystem. Um, so, as human beings, we have our role to play. We can contribute to the fight against the climate crisis, and it could start with just doing as little as, if you can walk there to a particular location. If you can walk there, if it's a short distance and you're able to walk there, why not walk there instead of maybe using a cab or using a taxi or just using your car? So we really need to start thinking in this direction. We really need to start thinking more about ourselves, really, because when you look at it at the end of the day, when you walk a particular distance a day, in a way you're exercising your body. So it is not just beneficial for the entire planet, but it's also beneficial for yourself, um, in terms of health reasons. So things like walking instead of taking the cab, or using the public transport instead of using your own personal car, for instance, in the case where it's possible for you to do that, please do that. Also, things like managing the resources that you have, food, water, energy. So why not turn off that bulb when you're leaving home instead of leaving it on? Why not turn off the tap if it's running and you're not really there? Why not talk to someone about, embracing this eco-friendly lifestyle? So really, we must also go beyond just doing it to also getting people to leveraging the power of influence. So also getting your friends, your surrounding people around you to also do it. So, and that is why leading by example is key. You must be a role model. Everyone can be a role model, regardless of the amount of action you've taken. And you also need to recognize that whatever action you're taking is not too small. Because when you look at it overall in a global context, if every single person takes less of meat, for instance, um, let me just give you, let me tie what taking meat, how it relates to the overall environmental crisis and climate change. So when you're taking the meat production, the process of producing meat can be so carbon intensive because you have to have the cattle, they would graze the ground, they would their feces will be on the ground, and there will be methane emissions, and it's overall the process of producing meat contributes a lot to carbon emissions that ultimately results in global warming and causes climate change. So when you take less of meat, in a way you're contributing to fighting the climate crisis, because when you take less of meat, it means that people that are doing maybe using cattle, rearing cattle, and or people that are doing it in a particular manner will start to think about doing it in a different way, in a much more cleaner manner, because they're already thinking, they're already seeing you that um, you don't really want to opt in for that option, right? So also you need to also think about the kind of things, the products that you consume. Is this product was it produced in a safe manner? Was it responsibly produced? That brings me to the one of the sustainable development goals that touches on responsible consumption and production. So we really need to think about all the different products, all the things we're buying. You could buy a chocolate today, and in a way, that chocolate, the way it was produced, might have contributed a lot to global emissions. So we need to start rethinking the choices that we make and start making more eco-friendly choices. So, and I've shared a lot of tips. Kamara shared a lot of tips. I don't know if Adesola would want to come in here and share some tips too.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much, Aziz. Adishola, thanks for joining. Kindly introduce yourself. And currently, we are talking about sustainable living. And I know you're an expert in this field. I know you've been sharing a lot. So, kindly tell us about yourself and also tell us what you think about sustainable living and share some tips also. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Aziz. Good evening, David. So my name is Adege Adeshola, founder of Green with Green. Basically, we're into environmental sustainability, awareness, and education. So we constantly give out tips on how to be more eco-friendly and how to live sustainably. So I mean, this topic is very much what we've always been saying, even in my organization. And also, I'm an entrepreneur and also an engineer. So for the entrepreneur, I own an eco-friendly store. The name is EcoBeat. You can check it out on Instagram. And yeah, for Green with Green, we also have a page on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. So you can check us out and see the daily tips that we give on how to live more sustainably. So yeah, coming to sustainable living, just like you have all said, I wish I joined earlier to also like know what you've talked about, but I wouldn't want to like say and be say, but just maybe for more emphasis, when you talk about sustainable living, as we are going, through daily activities, you're going to work, you're eating, you have to consider and think about your actions, whether they are sustainable, whether um, you're not um, you're not hindering future generations and meeting their own needs. I mean, you only know the now, right? You don't want to care about tomorrow. But if you just live in the now alone and forget tomorrow, then maybe everybody might as well just maybe it might be the end of human race if we keep living that way. So we actually have to think about other people, not just ourselves. In going green, we hear the term going green, going green. It's not just for ourselves alone, just like he has rightly said. It's for it's also living healthy. So if you are saying you're cutting down in your meat consumption, you see even doctors will tell you don't eat red meat, eat more of scaly fishes and the like. So when you say going green, is not just for your, I mean, it's not just for the environment, it's also for yourself. When you're taking a walk, you're exercising, if you take your reusable bag, maybe you're going to grocery shop or something, you have, instead of you buying say nylon bags or something, you have taken your own bag. So you have actually saved money. When they tell you to not leave your tap running, if you leave those little droplets in your faucet, and with time the water in your tank gets exhausted, use electricity to pump those water to pump the water in your tank, and those electricity in the end, I mean, it leads to increase in your meter reading and the likes, and you pay more electricity bill. So if you do all those little things, you cut down in money, you cut down, you make yourself more healthy. So why, I mean, you have everything to gain and nothing to lose actually. So why not just go for that option? Going green doesn't, you want to see your children's children, but when there's no even you yourself, you're planning a lot of things for the future. But if you don't have an environment to thrive in, how do you progress? How do you meet up with maybe you want to see yourself in 10 years in a particular place, but if there's no environment for you to thrive in, how do you achieve all of those? So in the end, it's not a selfish reason to go green. It is for you, it is for other people, it is, in fact, you have everything to gain in like everything. So when we talk about sustainable living, we should also think about it in different aspects. And when you some people think when you say sustainability, it doesn't, for an individual, it doesn't really hold water, like it doesn't really, their impact doesn't really hold weight. But when you combine this person's effort plus this person's effort, in the end it sum up to a large one, and you're actually making a huge impact on the environment. So we should not think our individual actions are irrelevant, or we should not think, oh, there's really nothing I can do now. Is it my own, if I refuse to buy maybe a bottle water, is it that one that will now help the whole nation? No. If this person reduces the number of bottled water he takes, the other person too, with, before you know it, I mean, that's how it sums up and it gets really big. And so when we're also talking about living sustainably, so we don't want you to be perfect. Start imperfectly. Don't say, okay, because maybe I've been taking say 7 bottled water in a week, and you just come and tell me to leave me and I should just stop. No, so you don't have to take that, let's say, giant step and just cut everything off. No, you can start small. So like for myself, I just set like a target for myself. When I newly started the green journey, I didn't just cut off everything. Okay, don't take this. No, I gave myself like, okay, weekly targets. So instead of maybe buying 7 bottled water, I reduced it to like 4. I reduced it to like 3. So it's just that you can track your journey and your progress that way. So you don't just have to stop everything you're doing. I mean, there are some that you can actually easily incorporate, just like taking your bags to the market rather than. But when it comes to some lifestyle, this thing, when that's why we didn't say you should stop eating meat entirely. Just start gradually, and before, over time, you know that, okay, I find this even better. Oh, I find this, but that's when you even discover, oh, I find the taste of this particular fish even better than the meat I was taking earlier, and is even healthier. So why wouldn't you want to stay healthy and as well, save the world? So we should not just why we have so for sustainable living is kind of targeting the individuals. So why companies, government have their own responsibilities, we as individuals should also try to take our own responsibility, to try to, as much as possible, do our own part, play your part. And then the thing is, all of this even have an impact on the companies, people that produce, say, plastic drink, pet bottle drinks and the likes. It has an impact, because if there is no demand, everything works on demand and supply. So if there's no demand, if you are not taking it, if many people are not taking it, they would find out why they are not taking it. They will find out, they will definitely do their own market research. They have the department that is even just for that purpose. So if you're not taking those things, they would also look for why you're not taking it. They will try to design in a way that is going to be more more like they'll design a better approach, or change whatever is not making people buy it, or look for another product entirely, that kind of thing. So we should not think our actions are not going to make a difference. Definitely they would make. In fact, they determine what, because it's because they have a market, that's why they are producing those things, right? So if there's no demand for it, definitely they won't produce it. So we should I feel we should just keep it up. Those small steps, it's something. It adds up to big difference. So we should not say, okay, this is, it doesn't really count. No, it does count. It does count. And when it comes to okay, sustainable living, right? So I wanted to talk briefly on renewable energy and sustainable energy. So it sounds really similar, but I think there's like a bit of difference to it. So when you talk of renewable energy, renewable energy is kind of is the energy that can be replenished by nature. Naturally, get it doesn't you can't exhaust it, so it can be replenished by nature normally. So you have maybe like your solar energy, then maybe energy from wood and the likes. So they are kind of renewable. But there was a time when I was newly into the whole renewable energy thing, and I was wondering why wood was considered renewable energy. So I was trying to understand why wood was considered renewable energy, because you still burn that. And for wood, you would think, why is it a renewable source? For wood, you have the trees. They are from trees, and trees can be grown. What do you need? Your fertile soil, water, and sun, and then boom, it's growing. So like, it's renewable. For solar energy from the sun, you can't, it's inexhaustible, you can't exhaust it. So that's why, so for the people that are designing, that's part of what you'd like to maybe take note of. And when we talk about sustainable energy, so it's a bit different from renewable energy, because when you talk about sustainable energy, you want to consider those that have like little impact on the environment. Because for renewable energy, there's still like some environmental impact, like where the photo cells are gotten from, these solar panels are gotten from, how they are made, how they are manufactured. So you want to consider like all the life cycle. So not just after creating, even at the end of you using that particular photo cell or solar panel, you want to consider what happens to it. So you would say an energy, a particular energy is sustainable when all of those, the social and the environmental impact is like really little and minimal. So the life cycle of the whole thing. So even in transportation, as you're transporting this from this, you want to use as little fossil fuel as possible. You don't just say, okay, this solar panel, solar energy is renewable. No, you have to consider everything. Like everything has a part, like the factors that makes maybe energy sustainable. So because an energy is renewable doesn't necessarily mean it is sustainable. Yeah, it's like a big difference. So I'd just like to chip that in. And yes, sustainable living. Switch off your balls when you're not using it, especially when it's in the in the morning. You really don't have any use for it until maybe night, or if you're going to stay in the room for less than, I think, if you're going to stay out for less than 15 minutes or so, then you chop the bulb rather than just leaving it. And in the end, you're also saving money, you're saving energy, you're saving the world. So you should not just think of it as, okay, it doesn't, no, it does make a difference. So yeah, I think that's all for now from my end. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Shola. I think when I said that you're an expert in this field, I think I downplayed it. That word was too small for you. So thank you very much for that. My next question is actually very interesting. So as we all know that clean energy is the one that comes from renewable zero emission sources that do not pollute the atmosphere. So is clean energy actually cheaper to use? Are they cheaper to use? Are they cheaper to buy? Are they cheaper to produce? Anyone?
Yeah, let me just chip in quick. So, we are still in the process of fully discovering the potential of our clean energy. You know, so for now, some for no, let me be honest, like clean energy currently is not cheap. It's not cheap because, like I mentioned initially, the various technology out there are not that advanced to really capture the potential of these various sources that provide us with clean energy. You understand? Like I mentioned, using the kinetic energy, you know, we literally have less or no literally no industry who are converting these energy sources to electricity and others. You understand? Then as well as the issue of using waves and rivers and other things as energy. You know, for now, clean energy is, is pretty expensive. I was watching so a few days ago. I was watching a documentary how people use um, ocean as energy. Currently, Norway they are adopting the technology right now. But according to one of the researcher who is I can't remember her name, she's from Oxford. She made mention of how currently countries are scared of using this particular technology. It's seamless, it's clean, but the thing is, it's expensive. Getting the instrument, having to control the instrument, buying the instrument, that produces this energy is expensive. So people are sitting back and exploring the various options they have in the market, which as we all know currently, everybody's using fossil fuel. It's everywhere and it's pretty cheap. But for the issue of clean energy, the various sources we are getting it's for now very expensive. But I just hope in the near future, probably in the next 4 or 5 years, you know, as as we all know what happened in COP26 back in Glasgow, countries are wrapping up strategies and see how best we can cut our emission rate over the next 20 to 10 years. So I just look forward to them, these countries, utilizing the aspect of clean energy in as much as it's expensive as at now. But in the long run, as we've developed the technology, definitely things it will be pretty cheap. Starting something is the most difficult part. But like if you've gone through the process, in the process along the line, things you just learn to live around it. But for now, the issue of clean energy, in the world is not really been adopted in most part of the world. So people are it's strange. Not you and I might know about clean energy, but if you go out there, the layman in the village there, he doesn't know about what we are talking about right now, clean energy. He doesn't know that. So it's kind of like a new concept to people. For now, it's kind of expensive, but I look forward to from the results from COP26, countries are wrapping up. Hopefully, in the next few years, we might invest more in these technologies and see how best we can change our energy consumption to something more clean and efficient and sustainable for not for us now, but for our generations yet unborn. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that. Shala, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, so
Um,
adding to what, okay. So now would you like to go?
don't worry, you can go. You can go.
All right. So adding to what Camara said about clean energy, sadly, the global world, when it comes to clean energy, there is this inequality in this process, and the inequality comes as a result of developed countries who have already garnered so much wealth from burning fossil fuels can now actually implement it. They can implement it, but it is relatively difficult for developing countries, especially in Africa and in other global south countries, to adopt this solution. And it is more possible for us to adopt or to implement or afford it when we're able to get international support from developed countries. So, and that is why there's this commitment that was made at, I think past COPs on $100 billion to support developing nations to build adaptation and resilience, and also to mitigate climate change. So this is just a small step in reaching equality, but developed countries need to do more. So when you talk about clean energy, it may not be expensive or unaffordable when you go to the developed worlds. When you go to the developed countries, they might be able to afford it because of their economy, right? But in the case of Africa, where things are still trying to get in place, it can be difficult for us to, for a regular home to just afford a solar panel, for instance. So, but that does not mean that it is not possible, right? We now start to have initiatives like Sustainable Energy for All. That was an NGO that was started by a Nigerian, for that matter, Madam Damilola, who is currently the co-chair of UN Energy. So initiatives like that, working with the UN and working with private sector corporations and also philanthropic corporations like what's it called? Philanthropic NGOs like the Rockefeller Foundation and other partners, other private sector partners. We were able to have this collaboration happen and push for action. Definitely this clean energy thinking could be a reality for us in Nigeria. Like last year, I was at COP26, and one of the things I witnessed, one of the commitments I witnessed, the announcement of the Global Energy Alliance for People and the Planet. And this alliance is focused on bringing affordable energy, clean energy to over 1 billion people. So this is a very ambitious mission, but we need to continue to advocate and seek for international organizations and community to support initiatives like this and to really bring and make clean energy affordable for a regular home in developing countries. Over to you, Adesola.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Bashir, for the question. So is clean energy cheap? So I would say, with time, it's getting actually cheap. Last 5 years, 10 years ago, you wouldn't even be able to afford. You wouldn't see solar panels around. But now, at least, even some companies, offices, some homes, they have it now, and you'd have like different options. Okay, do you want to go for this particular, like different options, different depending on the grade, like the grade you want. So you can actually, like, they are getting affordable. So the plan is for you to get more affordable, and I know with time that will happen. So it's not something that you can't afford. But if you can't afford it now, with time you definitely will be able to afford it. So yeah, and we have NGOs. There's Raise Africa too, taking clean energy to rural areas, and they've been doing so well over time. And yeah, I feel with time it's going to reach everybody, and there's a lot of benefit also. Like, you don't have to worry about the inconsistencies with NEPA in quotes. Fossil fuel, there's no, you have to go and queue at the filling station to get petrol, to get fuel, and then the price goes up and down and all of that. So it's just for you to, like, invest in it once and for all, and just maybe little maintenance fees. So it's getting cheap, and it's even going to get cheaper with time. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We're almost done. I think we're actually done. I just want to say that was my last question. So, and I just needed to. So, just few words to the participants. I know most of us here has actually gone through competitions. Been through competitions, design hackathons. So, what are the things you actually like to say to the participants? And we can end the space with that. Yes, just few words from you all. So let me start from Shola.
What I'm expecting to see, I don't know. Is it going to be like team? Are we going to have like different, like say different designers, right, under every mentor?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm already rooting for my team. I've not met them yet. And I expect to see like really creative solutions from them. I expect that they take into consideration how sustainable their idea is or will be. So I expect that the idea will be scalable and sellable also. So I'm looking forward to actually, listening. I'm looking forward to seeing what they've come up with or what they will come up with. And yeah, I can't wait to start, motivating and pushing them. Like, yes. And I think my team will actually win. So yeah,
Thank you
just to
very
say
much
that
for that.
okay.
Thank you very much. David?
Yeah, Shola, I bet my team's gonna win. That's just the fact. So for the participants, we'll be discussing more about environmental sustainability. But if you're out there, sustainability doesn't necessarily has to be environmental based. You understand? Your sustainability solution can be economical. It could be human sustainability. It could be social sustainability. Those are the four pillars. So whatsoever thing your solution is, it must be one of these four pillars: environment, social, economical, and human sustainability. So just give your best, and for the people who are going to be my mentees, definitely, guys, I'm gonna give Matt 100. Guys, we're gonna win this. I promise you that we're gonna win this, guys. Just give your all, bring in your creative juice in, and I'll be at the backstage to see how best we could push and do this together. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're welcome. I hope your team wins. Aziz?
Okay, so very quickly, so that we can wrap this up already. What I would advise is for every team to actually properly look through the criteria, the judging criteria or the metrics for the challenge. I don't know to be sure. I'm not too sure about certain criteria because there are certain challenges that maybe when it comes to business wise, it may not be a criteria for that particular challenge. It may just be that they want them to create something sustainable, but maybe in terms of profiting from it might not be a major priority. But it is important that you look through and understand fully what are the criteria for this challenge. So in some cases, you may hear about scalability, you may hear about impact, how much impact you can make from it. And also you may hear about how can it be meaningful in terms of business, in the business case. Because at the end of the day, when you look at it, certain initiatives might be very great. It may be a great idea, but at the end of the day, does it make sense business-wise? How can you be able to make revenue from it for you to sustain the business? Because at times, when we look at the business side, it can be very positive too, right? So we must think about it in all these different directions. And that would be my last few words for designers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let me use this medium to appreciate you all.
You muted, Bashir.
Oh, God. So I was using them to appreciate you all. Thank you very much for coming. I really appreciate. And sorry for the late reach out. I reached out to some people this morning, even though I sent them yesterday. But it's fine. Thank you very much. I really appreciate for coming, and we're going to be reaching out to you in a space. Thank you very much, everyone, and bye bye, and have a good
Thank
night's rest.
you.
Thank you.
Bye
Yeah,
I
you
bye.
mean,
too. Yeah.
bye.
Bye. Nice to meet you, David and